All right, guys, I think this is the season where the Jazz are starting it correct. Let's talk about it. It's the Hoops Nerd Show. All right, guys, before we get into this, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Okay, so the Utah Jazz are now going into this season with a core that I'm pretty excited about. Lauri Markkanen, congrats to him and how far Team Finland went. They played Greece today and lost. They would have won a bronze medal had they won. It's the farthest they've ever gone. So Lauri Markkanen deserves a ton of credit, and especially that Finland team who was super disappointed. But they should be proud about a fourth place finish. That's really good. Anyways, this Jazz team is set to go. And if you go follow the Utah Jazz social media, the Jazz are... they have a core now that they can really start to build. They have not really started from ground zero yet. And this season is really the first time they're going to be able to do it. And I'm excited. If you go to the Utah Jazz Instagram, you can see all the workout videos. But this Utah Jazz roster is actually a roster that they can start an actual team. It's really the first time, in my opinion, in 2 years that they can actually do this. The biggest question for them is Lauri Markkanen part of the future. I think it's possible. It's also tricky, depending on where they end the season. Where they're at by trade deadline is really going to say a lot. But when you look at this team, they're ready to start building from the bottom up finally, and they can play to win games like they said they were going to do, because this roster is not likely going to win a lot, but it is going to allow them to play these young players and see what they have. Not a lot of you watched the X-Men video, so I may not do another one of those. You can see part 2 of the X-Men series on SLC Dunk, though. I did write part 2, and I'll write a couple more because I had fun with it. But since no one's watching it, I'm not going to do anymore. If you really liked it, let me know. But guys, some of these things take time, and this is really more of a podcast than a video production thing. I try to do these videos almost every day. It takes time, and to do it every day, I don't have enough time. If this was my full-time thing, then I would do lots more production value. Since it's not, we're going to try to just get videos out there and talk about the things that matter and that are going on. But anyways, when I was creating that X-Men video, it was really crazy how quickly this Jazz team goes from players that are like, I would say Lauri Markkanen is like a B+ NBA player. He's right there with some of the best in the league, but he's just kind of a tier below. He's really great. That's not like an insult. He's just a very good player. I'd say next you have Walker Kessler, who's like B+ player. And then you get to the really young players with lots of interest and intrigue. We have a lot of questions that some of these players need to answer. Keyonte George, we know that he has some real offensive upside, but the defense has not been very good. Can he answer some of those questions? Bryce Sensabaugh looks like maybe arguably could turn into one of the better shooters in the NBA, but he's got to answer some questions about his passing, the turnovers, defense as well. Isaiah Collier broke the rookie record for assists for the Jazz. Can he shoot the ball? Did not look particularly good shooting it in Summer League, and at times looked extremely selfish with it and was not playing particularly well, honestly, if we're just being honest. Doesn't mean he can't play better and do a lot this season, because these things take time, and you don't judge people or players by just certain specific games in Summer League and that, but it wasn't a great thing. Taylor Hendricks had some real flashes when he played and shows some real defensive awesome upside and things like that, but he got injured at the beginning of last year. We didn't really get to see it, so we've got a lot of questions with him. Does he come back? Is his leg right? Does he have the same athleticism that he did before? It's scary. I'm certainly hope so, because I think that he's one of those players that you want on your team. You draft players with his size, length, and athleticism because of what and his defensive ability. And if he's healthy and strong and really develops, then he turns into something really nice. But it sucks that the Jazz and him lost an entire year of development. Kind of what happened with Dante Exum, and Dante was never quite the same after the ACL tear. We'll just hope and pray that Taylor Hendricks comes back and is got the same level of athleticism, size, and ability. When I go through some of these other players, Ace Bailey and Walter Clayton Jr. is going to be a blast to watch this year, but we don't know anything. We know that they played really well in the time we got to see them in Summer League, but, Summer League's different than the regular season. It's a great sign that they played well. You absolutely will take a player playing well in Summer League than not, and a lot of players that play well in Summer League play well in the NBA, and then there's some that play well in Summer League and that don't. So it's going to be really fun and exciting to see how well they play and transfer over. I cannot wait to watch Ace Bailey and see how he looks, and does that kind of upside show up on an NBA floor against NBA starters, and NBA rotation players. I cannot wait to watch it. One thing is for certain is we're going to see some struggle. We're going to see some moments where it's like, that's not great. But that's what happens with rookies. They make mistakes, and that's why you play them, and that's why the Jazz right now are in a great spot, because they now can just play their best players. Their veterans are gone. I do not think players like George Niang and Kyle Anderson are going to take a ton of minutes. If they are, that's probably not the best thing. And I think, playing like a George Niang over Ace Bailey, I think there's honestly a trade-off that's not good for the Jazz. George Niang might be a little bit more consistent shooter because he's been in the league for so long right now, but Ace Bailey may come in and shoot it pretty decently. And then you look at his athleticism and defense, it's going to be a work in progress, but that athleticism and defense, anyone who, coaches or does these things and you see these players up close, that athleticism matters, and that makes plays, and it does a lot. And with his size, you can just get a lot out of that just by having him on the floor. Cody Williams, is he a bust? He played pretty darn well in Summer League. It was kind of one of the most unsung things from Summer League was how well Cody Williams played. He consistently was, outside of Bryce Sensabaugh in Utah Jazz Summer League in Salt Lake City Summer League, was the best Summer League player for the Jazz because he just played consistently well night after night and did some things that were really nice. If Walter Clayton didn't get injured, I think he might have been probably the next best player, although I guess you could argue Ace Bailey was the best. He was so good in that second game. And, I guess he had some sort of injury, but I almost kind of wonder if the Jazz just decided to shut him down because they saw what they needed to see. I don't know. I don't know anything on that. I haven't heard anything. But I do think that this Jazz team is going to be really fun. Do I think they're going to win a lot of games? Probably not. I think they're going to be a bottom 5 team again, although I don't know if that number 1 spot is kind of a lock. Because, Lauri Markkanen, we saw in Finland, he's still a great player, and I'm sure there's other GMs that are looking at that are going to give some offers. Whether they trade him or not, we'll see. But if the Jazz are on a pace to be a bottom 3 team in the NBA, there's no reason to trade Lauri Markkanen. There's no reason. And everyone in the comments wants to talk about, contracts, and you got to meet the minimum, which is true. But if the Jazz traded Markkanen, they would get contracts back. And the reason why Utah could do that if they wanted to, and I'm saying if they wanted to, don't lose your minds, okay? It's okay. If the Jazz get a crazy offer for Markkanen, like 4 first-round draft picks, and they're all really good. They're all like, wow, this is a Phoenix Suns pick, and this is a Sacramento Kings pick, and teams that are dumb, that do dumb things, and it could end up being like a Pelicans pick or something like that. If they get some picks that are great and they trade Markkanen, that means they'll still get back salary that fits. And I don't know if the Jazz necessarily want, that salary back. The trade that I kind of, if I was predicting a trade, I would predict the Spurs. That is the one that I'm kind of like, but if you're making that trade, you're probably bringing back Devin Vassell and Harrison Barnes to make contracts fit. And do the Jazz want to have Harrison Barnes and Devin Vassell taking time from Ace Bailey and all these guys? Maybe you just have Markkanen and, it's one player taking time than it is multiple, So, although Devin Vassell and Harrison Barnes, if you bring them on and you're on a pace to lose the games you want, and that's why you do it, and you get a ton of picks, maybe that's not a bad idea. I don't know. We'll see what the Jazz do. That would be really interesting if it happened, but I do think that there's a world where if the Jazz are on pace to be bottom 3, which I think they should kind of have that goal, aside from developing the youth and developing a culture of playing to win, which they didn't really do last year, even though it was the right thing. I do think the way they're doing it now is how I would have preferred it, is just trade all the veterans before. They should have traded Jordan Clarkson. They should have traded John Collins and Colin Sexton years ago. Literally years ago, they should have done what they did now. What they did now was the exact right thing to do, because you want to play to win. You don't want to have games where you're resting Keontae George and Kyle Filipowski and guys like that. You want them to play to win, and if you lose, you lose. But when the Jazz are resting players just because they didn't get the max out trade value that they want for each player, that's ridiculous. And that's one of the reasons why I've been a fan of Austin Ainge so far with what they're doing. Now we'll see as the season goes on and what they do next. But I mean, this is the right way to do it. You play to win the game, and if you lose because your players are young and not there yet, and you're turning the ball over a little too much because you got players that are just brand new, then that's okay. But you're building a core that lets these players play to win. They are learning to play with each other, and you're also allowing the best players to rise to the top. It's what you do. This is how you win in the NBA. You have to win through the draft. Especially, I mean, honestly, there isn't even a team, even the Lakers, who got lucky with the Luka Doncic thing, so maybe exclude the Lakers, but literally everyone else has to win through the draft. Or you get lucky with a trade that a player turns into a superstar. Like, I guess, like, what's his name on the Knicks? The point guard they traded from Dallas. I can't remember his name. Let me know in the comments. But things like that are pretty rare. But even then, they had to make a lot of moves to build around him. Utah now has all these young players. They'll continue to let them play. The best players will get re-signed. The other ones will either just not or be traded as part of other trades to either get more picks or bring in a nice player. I think this season, to me, is absolutely going to be one of the most fun seasons because they are going to play to win. I'm going to root for them to win. For the most part. But I am going to root for them to win because it's fun to root for them to win, and I want to see these players succeed. I just want a top 8. I want a superstar on the Jazz. Speaking of the X-Men again, Utah doesn't have an Omega-level mutant with unlimited power. They don't have that guy yet. Utah needs a Omega mutant. They need a Professor X. They need a Magneto. They need one of those guys that has unlimited power. We don't have him yet. Maybe Ace Bailey is an Omega-level mutant. Maybe he's that guy that can go over the top and becomes unstoppable in the playoffs, like a Jokic. Jokic is like Magneto. And if you don't want to know what an Omega-level mutant is, I'll let you know right now. It's important. It's a very important thing to understand. But it's when the power of a mutant is uncapped. Certain mutants have a certain level of power, like a certain mutant like Bullseye. He throws something and he hits the target, or Hawkeye. I guess they're not mutants technically, but that's an example. They're not an Omega-level mutant. You just do a specific thing with your power. Someone like Storm, it's unlimited how their power can grow to another level. Magneto, his power is uncapped. He can literally move an entire asteroid in outer space and create and move mountains and planets. It gets to that level of power with Magneto. Utah doesn't have an Omega-level mutant, and I want one. And there's some Omega-level mutants in the draft next year. We missed out on a potential Omega and Cooper Flagg, but Ace Bailey might be. Maybe Ace Bailey is one of those that his power becomes untapped later on as he develops. We'll see. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes mutants come across power, like Juggernaut when he found that special crystal, became a mutant himself, and became incredibly strong. We'll see if that happens with the Jazz. But I want an Omega-level mutant. I want an MVP caliber player. I want Jokic, that type of guy, on the Jazz, or Luka Doncic, or LeBron, or KD in his prime, or whoever. I want that level of player on the Jazz because that's the type of guy you need to win the game. You just need them. They lead your X-Men. They lead the Brotherhood of Evil. Yeah, you need those guys. So it's what they've got to do. Anyways, guys, I'm excited to watch this Jazz team. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. I truly cannot wait to watch Ace Bailey. And what makes me really happy about the announcements from the Jazz saying that they're playing to win and they're not going to rest players to lose specifically makes me really excited that we're going to watch Ace Bailey. I hope he starts. I'll be honest. Like, I really do. I'm going to be so bummed if we have like Kyle Anderson starting at small forward. I'm going to be so, don't do this to me, Jazz. Don't do this. Waive them. Austin Ainge, you know what I like? And maybe Austin Ainge is Professor X, but he's been willing to make the tough moves. And I want to see that. I really do, because I want to see them do the right thing, allow these young players to play, and I think that's the goal. And, you know, Lauri Markkanen, if he wants to play for someone else because he wants to win, that's fine. But Utah's going to make a trade that makes sense, that allows them to play to win while also achieving their goals. And I think this is the last season we'll probably see the Jazz kind of shoot for a bottom 3 pick, because they'll have developed these youth enough that they're going to be pretty decent. And if Ace Bailey is anything, and if they go get like a Darren Peterson, who, by the way, I have a hard time not loving that guy. Holy smokes. And also Cam Boozer, guys. Holy smokes, is he so good. The comparison to Tim Duncan that people are making online is legit. He really has that fundamental. Like, when you go watch him play, I'm telling you guys, go watch film. Go look at just Cam Boozer film. And it's going to be fun to watch him at Duke this year, too. He's very much like Tim Duncan, because it's not a lot of like flash. It's just a lot of very smart, strong basketball. He's very strong. He's very fast. He's fundamentally like beyond his years. And he's a 40+% 3-point shooter too. He's won everywhere he's gone. It's very, very, very good sign. I think Cam Boozer might be the number 1 pick, in my opinion, actually. I think he might be the guy. Like, when he gets the ball, great things happen every time. Smart player, good passer, defender. And you'll just have to, like, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, when he gets the ball in the post, he just understands angles and uses his strength and is just super efficient with the ball. There's no flash. It's only finish, right? There's no bells and whistles. It's just results, and it's wins. And that's the kind of guy you want on your team. I don't care if he's the flashiest guy. You know, Peterson and DeBonsa have a lot of flash to their game. Cam Boozer is a lot of results. And I'm not saying those guys don't have results either, because they're great and they've won at a high level too. But, oh my gosh, I think Cam Boozer might be my number 1. We'll see. Darren Peterson is the other one I kind of think of, because you look at this Jazz team. What if Ace Bailey is great? What if Ace Bailey is really good? And you just need like a lead guard, and if Darren Peterson goes to Kansas and just looks like this absolute monster, which he kind of does to me, he looks so good, guys. It's just a great draft to be in. Top 3 pick, you are happy. You are super happy with whoever you get. But man, it would be nice to be number 1 and have that problem of who of these 3 do we pick. It's so exciting to think about. Anyways, guys, if you're new here, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Shout out to the All-Stars. Shout out to the members. If you'd like to join and support the channel, thank you so much for your support. Click the button below. There. I'll talk to you next time.